Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's video. It's all about the email metrics you're ignoring that can save your campaign. Let's dive right in. So we're going to speak about the hidden gems, the click-to-open rate, which few people tend to evaluate. They tend to evaluate the click-through rate more frequently. We'll speak about the bounce rates. And lastly, we'll speak about email growth. We're going to go through an example of how one newsletter doubled the number of subscribers they had within a short time frame. So you want to make sure you do stick around to the end of the video because we'll dive deep into that. So let's get started. First, we're going to speak about the click-through rate. The CTR, or click-through rate, is a percentage of people who clicked on a link in your email compared to the total number of emails sent. So the formula is unique clicks divided by total emails sent times 100. This gives you a percentage. A good rate tends to be between 2 to 5%. And if we're working through an example, let's say a list of 1,000 people can have 20 people following the link. So you send out an email to 1,000 people. It has a call to action. 20 people out of the 1,000 people clicked on your link and went to your website to learn more. So that's how click-through rate works. Next, we have the click-to-open rate, or the CTOR. CTOR, on the other hand, measures the percentage of people who clicked on a link after opening your email. Now, it can get a little bit confusing when you are comparing it to the CTR. So let's dive into the formula. The formula are the unique clicks divided by the unique opens times 100. And again, that gives you a percentage. We should speak about what a unique click is. So first, let's figure out what a regular click is. Let's work through an example. A regular click counts every single click, regardless if it's the same person making the click. So let's say you have an email. It has 4 call to actions. Bobby Smith clicks on every single one. That will be recorded as 4 clicks. A unique click, on the other hand, is a user who clicked on a link in your campaign, and each person is counted once, even if they clicked multiple times. So let's say the same person opens your email, clicks on every single call to action in your email. Since it's coming from the same person, the unique click will only measure 1 click. So it's a little bit more accurate. Unique clicks are often used to measure different metrics as opposed to the regular clicks. Now, a good rate for a CTOR is 20 to 30%. Let's work through an example. If your email receives 100 clicks and 150 opens, this will give you a CTOR of 66%. So let's compare the two. Let's dive a little bit deeper and figure out the difference between the CTR and CTOR. So the CTR, the click-through rate, gives you an overall view of your email's performance. In contrast, click-to-open rate, the CTOR, zeroes in on how engaging your content is to those who actually opened the email. So the CT is far more specific and far more narrow than the CTR. So think about it this way. The CTR measures the effectiveness of your subject line and your sender name, because those two details combined often lead to a subscriber opening your email. While the CT goes a step further, it evaluates the content and call to action within the email itself. So after somebody opens your email, CTOR figures out how engaging your content is, how inviting it is for the subscriber to take the action you crafted. Good. So this gives us a difference between CTR and CTOR. Let's go into the 4th category, the bounce rate. The bounce rate is a percentage of emails that did not make it to your subscribers' inboxes. And there are 2 types, the soft bounces, which are temporary issues like a full inbox or a server issue, and the hard bounces. These are permanent problems such as invalid or non-existent email addresses. Somebody may have made a typo when filling out the form, or a bot crawled your website and entered a fictitious email address. So what exactly counts as a bounce? Well, a wrong email address, Somebody's mailbox may be full or paused, so therefore they're not receiving new emails. Blocked emails, so somebody can block your email address, therefore no longer receiving emails from you, or suspended accounts. All of these combined can either give you a soft or a hard bounce rate. So to recap, a bounce rate is essentially the percentage of emails that did not make it into your subscriber's inbox. And the formula is the number of bounces divided by the number of delivered emails times 100. This rate is normally given in whatever email program you're using. If it's ActiveCampaign, they're normally generated automatically through their own analytics or reports. Our good rate is 25 to 40%, meaning that if you're running an email campaign and 75% of people receive your email, that means the email actually arrives in their inbox. That's a good rate. This is different than the open rate, the CTOR, You run a campaign and 75% of emails you deployed reach inbox. That's a good campaign. That's a good rate to have. So again, working an example, let's say you have an email list of 1,000 people. So out of 1,000 emails deployed, 300 bounced. And that's typically a good thing because that will give you a bounce rate of 30%. The lower, the better. Now, finally, let's speak about list growth. And now that we went into all the metrics in detail, we can figure out how to grow a list. So list growth, while 25% monthly growth rate might sound ambitious, it's actually not impossible with the right strategies. So first, you want to create an irresistible lead magnet. You want to develop a high-value gated content that requires an email address to access. This could be something like an ebook, free tools, or exclusive resources. I've seen people give away templates. I've seen people give away AI prompts, checklists, white papers, and so forth. Coupons, discounts, all of these work as a great lead magnet. And of course, you can always test them. Maybe a coupon will work. Maybe a template will work. Maybe an ebook will work. You can always test to see and figure out which lead magnet gives you more subscribers. You also want to leverage social media. Use your social platform to promote lead generation offers and host contests that require email signups. So if you're running a contest, you can promote it on social media. You could take people to the landing page by posting the URL of the landing page on Instagram. And there they will have a form where they can enter and leave their email address in order to win a prize. That works incredibly well. You can segment and conquer. This is one of my favorite ways of growing an email list, but few people place effort in doing it well. You can create multiple targeted subscriber types to increase the chances of visitors subscribing to at least one of them. Some marketers have seen up to a 760% increase in revenue with segmentation, and this works incredibly well for many publications I know of. CNN, for example, has different lists you can subscribe to. They have a list for politics. They have a list for money. They have a list for Spanish speakers. They have a list for people interested in international news and so forth. By testing different interests, you can grow your list. You might be thinking it is extra work because you're essentially creating a few newsletters instead of one, but at the same time, the content can be interchangeable. In the case of CNN, for example, there are articles that can intersect with politics and money, or politics and Spanish speakers. So it's a great way of recycling content as well and getting more usage of what you create. You can optimize your website, place email sign-up forms strategically across your site, including in a blog, posts, sidebars, and exit intent pop-ups. Now, this is something that's very important. Many websites place a small little sign-up box all the way at the end of their website. So in other words, you have to scroll and find a small little sign-up box in order to belong to this newsletter. I've seen it so many times. And I'll tell you from my own experience, pop-ups work best. If somebody's on your blog site and they're scrolling and scrolling, they get to the point where they have been on your website for, let's say, 45 seconds, and a pop-up comes up telling them they can get 10% off their next order. That works well. that grows lists to a better extent than having a small little box at the bottom of a website near the footer, which very few people see. A list growth 5B, encourage sharing, include social sharing buttons and email to a friend options in your emails. Don't forget to add subscribe CTA for those receiving forwarded emails. So this is very important, as this is a great tactic, especially in a world where online browsing, online consumption is becoming far more social. There are all sorts of widgets you can add to your newsletter, make it really simple to forward it over to their friend. And once their friend gets the newsletter and really enjoys what it is they read, there are also options they have to subscribe to the newsletter. So therefore, you're turning your subscriber into a brand ambassador who forwards mails to their friends. Because remember, people will always open an email they receive from a friend. They might not open an email from a company like Uber or Walmart because the assumption is I'm being sold, but they will open an email from a friend. Create unique, valuable content. If your emails consistently provide value, subscribers are more likely to share them, helping you grow your list. Now, this is a great tool, especially with emails, because you get to figure out what is valuable content. When you're posting on social media, algorithms figure out what is valuable content. But when you have your own email list, it's more of a direct asset. You can write an article today and use it for a year and still have it be considered valuable by your audience. And lastly, I want to tell you about a really cool newsletter called CrazyEgg, because they had phenomenal growth that I think every emailer, every person running a business can really learn from. And this is how they tripled their email list with 3 main points. So first, they offered subscription frequency options. They had one for daily emails and one for weekly emails. This simple change allowed subscribers to choose their preferred frequency. The daily email list tripled to over 6,000 subscribers, while the new weekly list nearly doubled in a year. And again, you would think this creates extra work for the person putting the newsletter together, but it really did not, because you can take the daily newsletter, create a summary, and put it into the weekly emails. So essentially, it's copy and pasting, but in a way that grows your list because it is segmented. Now, you can also create a dedicated subscribe page. CrazyEgg did this. They developed a dedicated subscribe page that clearly communicated what potential subscribers would receive and how often. This transparent approach helps sell the value of their subscription. So you can include things like past issues. You can include small little bios featuring the people that write these stories, write the emails. You can include a what's coming section. This way, the people who are thinking of joining your newsletter have an idea of what to expect over the next week, 2 or 3. It makes it a little bit more personal and drives value. And lastly, CrazyEgg refined content strategy based on subscriber feedback. So by improving subscriber engagement, CrazyEgg was able to gather direct feedback on their blog content. This led to a more focused content strategy, narrowing their topics from broad digital marketing to specific conversion optimization based on audience preferences. So in other words, they used their email list to get feedback for future content, and it worked incredibly well. Because of the previous reasons. They had the subscriber page, they had the segmentation going, which already gave them a higher engagement rate than their typical newsletter. The CrazyEgg story is something I think every entrepreneur running an email campaign should read. So I'm going to link the article in the comments section. And let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know about the tactics and strategies you have used to grow your own email list, or what you're looking to do in the future. This is Barry. Out.